once I started diving and I got to see what was below the surface, it's just hard to hear that we're exploiting the oceans, and we're not always just observing, and often we're taking more than we thought we are.
Jasmin is the type of person to take one thing and make it so that it's equitable for everyone. The way she sees the ocean and then how she's turned that into art itself.
It is my duty in a way to share what's really beautiful and what gives me zest in life to protect this environment and this ocean that I love so much. My typical morning, if I can, is to go surf before work. That kind of looks like biking to Devereux sometimes and being half asleep still and putting on all my layers and just going out to take a glance at the ocean and see what the conditions look like. Other days it looks like checking Campus Point if I think that looks better, and that means getting in my car and a little bit of coffee and just going to check out, see what's going on around the bend. And then it's a really good morning if I get to surf. But it's a nice feeling to have the morning to yourself, just you and the ocean. It's a time of solitude, it's a time of calmness, it's a time that I get to have to myself and with the ocean. My mom is originally from a small little island south of mainland Japan, and it's called Okinawa. It's a small little chain of islands. There are white sandy beaches, and there's teal and light blue water. I grew up going to Japan 2 months of every year of pretty much my entire childhood.
As soon as she sees the ocean, okay, just take off clothes. Okay, maybe she got under like a diaper, and then she just, boom, I want to go in.
I remember we would just spend hours on the beach in the heat, and I would be a naked little baby just frolicking around in the sand. Just my mom's childhood and life growing up by the beach, I feel weirdly connected in some sort of way because I feel like my roots have been there. In Japan, I guess you could say the main religion is Shintoism, and it's kind of more of a philosophy than a religion, but it's, in my words, it highlights the give and take and the collaboration of you with nature, that you're not separate from it, but rather you're in its environment and collaborating together, and you're deriving things from the environment. It's something that I find easy to implement into your life. If you just look after your own self and you're able to pick up only after yourself, that could make a monumental change.
From a parent's point of view, she has picked a direction that she's passionate about, and she is driving towards it with everything she has.
As an individual, it feels really daunting to go out into the world and take on environmental change. And there is this plaguing feeling in me and my generation that we can always do more. But I think it's important to not exactly let ourselves be completely hopeless either. Experiencing the environment and the ocean in the way that I have, I just want to protect it, and I want to hold on to it and keep it vibrant for the next generation and for the generation after us to be able to experience it in its fullness that we get to today.
When I graduated, I wasn't sure what I was going to be doing with my life. I just knew I didn't want to afford consumerism. I wanted to be a part of the change. I came across Heal the Ocean, and it appealed to me because it meant I would work for the greater good of the environment and for the community.
First week, there were so many things to learn. It was learning more about the community, but then learning about sensitivities of politics locally. But then also learning technical skills like grant writing, how to sit in on city council meeting, and working at Heal the Ocean has given me a toolkit that I can dig into to further something I'm truly invested in. So today we still work on wastewater infrastructure, but we also work on other local issues such as capping leaking oil wells in Summerland, beach cleanups, and we even started a styrofoam recycling program here in Santa Barbara. So doing these beach cleanups, I know that I'm picking up trash that eventually I'm gonna see when I'm diving underwater, and one less piece of trash that the fish are gonna eat or get stuck in. And it's great because I get to see that reflected right under the ocean surface. It makes me really grateful that I have a team that I'm a part of to make some sort of change, even if it's just on a local level.
I met Jasmine in the freshman dorm bathroom in Anacapa at UCSB. And then we became really good friends around the pandemic about a year later when we learned to surf together. Since high school, I've been very conservation minded and I'm gonna save the world. But I would say that I feel like nothing's helping. But Jasmine has never lost that hope and the idea of goodness in people in the world.
It was 2021 and I was hiking the John Muir Trail. And that's when I injured my foot pretty badly. It was very surreal to be hiking 16 to 20 miles a day, and then the next month I'm being wheelchaired through the airport. Something that gave me a lot of solace was being able to bike to the ocean and sit there. And when my feet started to feel a little better, I was able to bike with my board, and then I was able to go down the sandy hill, and then I was able to surf. That's when I fell deeper in love with the ocean and what it can provide.
It felt like a form of therapy to be able to be on the water and be weightless and be able to dance on the board. It reminded me of the feelings I would get hiking. And there were a lot of beauties I found on the mountain that I was able to find in the ocean too.
To me, it just feels a lot like dancing. You're kind of just crossing your steps and you're shifting your weight in your feet. You can look back on a certain wave and you're like, I totally blanked out and I had no idea what I was doing just then. But maybe that's the beauty of it all. Maybe it's the beauty that you just get to get lost in it, and that's okay because the feeling is what matters and that's what's lasting. The light hits the water perfectly and it's sparkling and it's shimmering and it looks like there's 1,000 different crystals just right on top of the water surface, and it's just a surreal feeling sometimes. I'm visualizing what's underneath me in the kelp bed and the seagrass and little schools of fish. It just gives you a whole different perspective of what you're immersing yourself in.
When I was in high school, my dad talked to me about all of these stories of him and his buddies diving. He talked of these grand adventures and the thrill of being out of our natural human element.
Once I started diving and I got to see what was below the surface, it widened my understanding and holistic view of the ocean.
Seeing the world from below the surface is really very unique. I consider it to be like an outer space. That I think really intrigued her a lot.
There was a day that I went diving off of the channel down. And as we sunk and sunk, there were anemones, and there were a lot of Garibaldi and kelp, and you could kind of get lost in it. On the beach and above the surface, a lot of things lose its color. They're dry, they're sun bleached, they're fragile, and they can crack. But below the surface, it's a whole different world. Everything is vibrant, it's blooming, it's colorful. Different colors that you thought were synthetic and neon colors are right there under the ocean. I remember staring at the nudibranch, and it was this vibrant purple, like a neon purple and orange lining it, and I was just like, could not stop looking at it. But as we were down there, there were some sea lions that were kind of taking a peek at us, and they would kind of cock their head, look our way. They'd slowly kind of creep around and swivel their way through. They're just curious, and you're making eye contact with them, and you're just surrounded by blue and teal and these wonderful creatures. It's kind of hard to compare it to anything on land. I just remember everything was so pristine. It didn't really feel touched by humankind. It's just hard to hear that we're exploiting the oceans, and we're not always just observing, and often we're taking more than we thought we are from the ocean. Being in and out of the ocean so often, I gain so much joy from it, but I'm also in it. I'm contributing to the mess that we make as humans, and therefore it's my responsibility to be able to take accountability. Well, you can care, you can make mistakes, and I think there is a dance to it.
Jasmin's like a very idealistic person, and I think that's a good thing when you're working in conservation, because otherwise it's easy to get jaded.
Left and right, everywhere we see is a lot of fear and a lot of hopelessness.
If we can collectively take small steps, it will lead to change on a larger scale. Environmentalism isn't about criticizing others. It's about encouraging and uplifting what we can do.